This is the ultimate and definitive beginner's guide to Diablo 4, which will help you survive as a beginner or even as a grizzled veteran. Diablo 4 is a game that can be overwhelming upon first arriving into the demonic lands. There's a ton of skills to distribute, classes to choose from, and paths to follow. Hopefully our handy guide here will give you the guidance you need to traverse the demonic lands and give Lilith the smack she so very well deserves. So we should start with deciding what difficulty you should play on. Absolute beginner should always start on tier 1. It's the easiest and will make sure you can learn the core mechanics enough to challenge yourself more down the line. Starting on tier 2 will give you more challenging enemies, but not ones that are actually impossible to handle. It will grant you with both extra experience and with better loot, but that does come at a cost of a greater challenge for you to face. For now, if you're an absolute beginner, we would recommend tier 1. In doing so, you'll get through enemies much more quickly since they won't be as aggressive, smart and tanky, and it will not ruin your experience of this near perfect game. Tier 1 is also the ideal difficulty mode if you're the type of player who wants to rush to the endgame and get through the storyline. Now we will look at what you should be prioritising. There is a wide mix of side quests and world events that sit alongside the main storyline. It is difficult to decide really which ones you should do at first, because really there is no definitive answer to it. The first thing you should know is that after completing the main story campaign, you'll have the option to skip it entirely for any further characters that you make. What's good about this is that you'll immediately gain access to certain areas of the sanctuary, as well as a lot more waypoints. The further you push into the main quest, the sooner you'll unlock your mount as well. This also will be available for the rest of your characters, allowing you to traverse landscapes significantly faster. The main campaign should be easily completed for players no matter what world tier they have chosen. So we recommend plowing through that first, then focusing on a lot more side quests. However, every time you finish side quests, find altars of Lilith, do strongholds and discover waypoints, you accumulate a significant amount of renown experience, which will help you gain gold, potion upgrades and skill points during the early game. Strongholds are really important due to the renown value they provide, and they grant you access to certain dungeons as well. Be sure to check your map and see where these points are located. Group and world events are worth having a look at, but don't really become that crucial until you start getting to about level 30. They can be useful for getting XP, but a lot of the time the loot you will find will just get replaced a few minutes later. Now let's look at the altars of Lilith. These are statues that are scattered around areas of the map that grant permanent account-wide buffs to boost the overall power of your characters. These seem very minor at first, but they all build up over time to create buffs which can really alter the ease of future battles for your character. What's important to note here is that you don't need to unlock the altars of Lilith for each of your characters. Bonuses are shared account-wide, though their locations are not shared. So you cannot see which ones you have found from previous characters. For this reason, it makes sense to try and find them all on one character at once, so you don't need to do it all again. Dungeons are next on our list. The main one you'll want to focus on is the Lost Archives. You can easily finish it once you have access to the Fractured Peaks. Completing it will provide you with the aspect of the Protector from the Codex of Power, allowing you to imprint this over and over again on your gear. It's a very strong defensive aspect that lets you conjure a barrier to absorb damage the moment you hit an elite or a boss. So regardless of your class, you'll definitely want the aspect of power. Decide which dungeon you fancy doing based on your Codex of Power as well. Different dungeons will benefit different classes more. Your Codex will reveal which aspects you need for your class. These types of aspects are one of the most reliable and surefire ways of improving your power and making your character much more stronger. Remember to put a pin on these dungeons on the map to show you directions for how to reach them. We would recommend you focus on these later in the game though rather than early. What do you do with all that extra gear in your inventory though? For your common, magic and rare items, it's better to deconstruct them for crafting materials. When you reach level 15 or 20, you'll want to consider selling some of these for gold since the prices will be miles better. By then, it's also the right time to know the balance between getting more materials or gold in order to properly upgrade your equipment later on. Always save your legendary items. Trust me, you will need them later on. These legendary weapons and armors have respective legendary aspects imprinted on them. Some of these aspects can be obtained from dungeons, whereas others can only be found on the legendary items themselves. What's more is that you can save them for your other builds, and you can extract legendary aspects to imprint onto other weapons, jewelry and armor from the occultist. Next is upgrading and enchanting your gear with the bonuses you can find in Diablo 4. You can upgrade nearly everything, including your weapons, armor and jewelry. For weapons and armor you'll need to visit the blacksmith, whereas for jewelry you'll have to go to the jeweler. This is all very important because when you have good bonuses on a piece of armor or jewelry, upgrading them will not only give you more protection, but also increase the value of the same bonuses. It's important to pay the alchemist a visit from time to time in relation to your elixirs, incenses and potions. You can craft elixirs and incenses here, as well as upgrade your potions to heal you more using the materials you pick up from exploring. Elixirs usually grant a defensive or offensive bonus and a 5% experience gain. They are level gated though, so you'll use them rarely at the beginning. These will help you though, especially when you're about to reach the endgame. At higher levels you'll need incenses to gain bonuses based on the number of nearby players there are, making it very useful against world bosses. Diablo IV is a game that can seem very overwhelming at first, but it's very much a try and see type of game that encourages you to explore your options and make things more fun for yourself. I really hope this guide has helped you somehow, and for more things Diablo, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to GG Recon Gaming.